All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm doing another collaboration. I'm really excited about these topics. My name's Megan. This is Celeste joining me, and she's a fellow tarot reader, and she's amazing. And we had a lot of fun. We already made part one of this video on her channel. So this is a two-part video. We're doing 10 things I wish I would have known on my spiritual journey. So we did 1 through 5 on her channel. So I'll just go over the topics real quick of what we did on her channel. We did how to not care about what people think of you. We did 3D versus 5D. We kind of went into that. We tried to explain it the best that we could. We talked about ghost encounters, psychic gifts, and talking to your spirit guides. So for this part of the video, we're doing healing and shadow work. It's our first topic. We're going to talk about self-love, what it actually is. We're going to talk about the beauty and the unknown. We're going to talk about physical symptoms on our spiritual journey. And then we're going to talk about raising your vibration and gratitude. So I'm really excited to have Celeste with me here. Thank you for joining me on my channel. So if you, I'll put all of her links down below in the description box so you can check out her channel. And, you know, she's a great tarot reader, and she has a lot of interesting topics. I like her paranormal videos. She has a lot of ghost experiences, and I think that's so interesting too. So make sure you check her out. And yeah, I think I said everything. So let's get into it.
Cool.
You ready?
Good. Yeah.
So let's just start with the first one. Let's talk about shadow work and healing. And, you know, I think there's so much to talk about in that topic, because shadow work, it has so many different names, right? Like, it's self-therapy, it's awareness, it's learning to accept, you know, your darker energies. I like how I watched Stargirl, the Practical Witch, the other day, and she described shadow work as starting to take responsibility for your life. And I was like, she's right. You know, that's just another way to describe it. But I really like that, because I think that's such a huge part when you start your spiritual journey, is, you know, really taking, you know, saying, okay, this is my life. I'm the creator. I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to go within. I'm going to find these energies that I don't want anymore, this anxiety or this depression or, you know, this lack of motivation or whatever, self-doubt. And I'm going to see where it came from. Right. I'm gonna, and I love that. I think it is taking responsibility.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, it's important. I think along the spiritual journey, we can kind of get caught up in trying to stay in a high vibration, which is important. You know, it's all part of it, and that love energy. But there's always going to be shadow work. You know, that's just how we are existing in like this 3D plane, where we have to, you know, face the highs and the lows. And I think the part that I like about shadow work so much is really the acceptance of the, you know, the lows as being just as important as the highs. You know, and things, you know, going really well or feeling very high vibrational, feeling very in the flow is kind of the ideal, and what we're all kind of hoping for, what we're working towards. And so I think you can't really have that without the lows too. But yeah, shadow work is such an important part of the whole process. And it doesn't have to necessarily be you know, your darkest moments per se, you know. And I think too, the more you do it, the more it's easier to kind of accept it, like welcome it in. But yeah, like for me, I do go through shadow work a lot. I like to help other people facing shadows and things like that, because it can be really scary, it's really about facing yourself, which seems like, well, how could that be scary? But like, you know, you're not actually like, you know, climbing a cliff or anything like actually dangerous, but it can be so scary just to go within and facing the shadows of yourself. And I guess, I don't know how you would define your shadows, but like I would define it as maybe like your shadows are the parts of yourself that you feel like you shouldn't be, or you feel ashamed of at times, or you feel like you want to kind of ignore them and push them away, and almost not something you're not wanting to look at, which is kind of like why they're in the shadows, you know. And that's part of the work, is going into the shadows of yourself and finding those, and realizing that really they aren't any less valuable, you know, that they're an important part of yourself and who you are.
Yeah,
So
they
yeah,
made you who you are today,
yeah,
and they continue to. And I look at, even when I was a kid and my shadow aspects, or because I had a lot. We talked in your video, the first video, about all the fears I had, and I was so shy, and I cared too much what people thought of me, and I had to work through those fears, into my adulthood, and I still am, and then that's shadow work. It's kind of saying like, okay, I don't want to be afraid of people. I don't want to be afraid of the world. I want to trust in the universe, because I think that's one of the hardest things to do, is saying, oh, yeah, I trust whatever happens, happens. Like, how many people go around saying that, right? I mean, it's tricky. And I think, a big part of shadow work is not denying those aspects of yourself. It's not just saying like, go away, I don't want you anymore. It's finding acceptance in the pain and the lesson, and then learning how to integrate new energies. And how you integrate new energies are by changing your perceptions and your beliefs, right? And by making healthier habits. So, on your spiritual path, it's like integrating mantras. It's taking care of yourself, which we'll get into. The self-love is the next topic too, which I think ties in perfectly with shadow work, because I think people have a misconception as well about self-love and what that is. It's like, well, how do I love myself? And a big thing that I tell people is, how do you, if you're in a romantic partnership with somebody, right? And say, they work a lot and they don't give you a lot of time, but they're always saying, I love you. They're like, oh, I love you. I love you. But they're not showing you, right?
yeah,
You're not really going to believe it. You're not really going to feel it. You're going to be like, because actions speak louder than words. So
yeah,
when you love yourself, you have to do it through actions. And part of that action is doing shadow work. That's showing yourself love, because it's saying, okay, I don't feel good in my energy. Something needs to change, and I'm going to start making healthier habits. I'm going to start watching more spiritual content. I'm going to take the day off and watch Netflix and take a bubble bath and try to meditate for 5 minutes, or like, that's all. Like, self love is the actions, I think, in a lot of ways. And it's also the nurturing. It's being gentle with yourself, and I try to teach that a lot in my
yeah.
readings, because I think that's been, I don't know about you, that's been such an intricate part of my healing,
Mhm.
is talking to myself, like the if I was to go back in time and talk to myself when I was 5 years old,
Yeah,
or 7, whatever age you want to pick, like, how would I talk to myself? And I feel like we need to do that to ourselves. Like, we need to give ourselves that loving, nurturing energy, even if it's cheesy and it's like, oh, Megan, I love you. You're doing great.
yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Keep going. But we all need that. We all need that kind of love from
Mhm.
ourselves, even if it does seem over the top or cheesy, or I don't know. What do you think?
I love that the way you're describing it, it is really an act of self-love. And I think too, at first it may seem cheesy, and it really does,
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's kind of like something that you feel like you kind of would recommend to somebody, and they would kind of be like, oh well,
Yeah.
like I don't really believe it, when I say it to myself. But it really is kind of like a practice. So you would have to kind of do it over and over again, and to start kind of, even just like, there's energy behind words. And if you even just believe that the energy is there behind the words, then the more you repeat them, the more you're building that energy. And eventually, you will really believe that. You really feel the love for yourself, like you're saying. Like, I do that too. I totally do that. I'm just like, you know what, I'm proud of you. Like, keep
Yeah.
going. Or like, I like to journal personally. Like, I like to journal a lot.
Mhm.
It keeps me in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be journaling stuff that I didn't even realize I was kind of thinking about. So that really
Mhm.
helps me. But like, in my journal entries, I'll be like, like, keep going. Like, you've come so far. And sometimes too, we get caught up in, or we may not remember how far we've really come. I find that a lot, where I'm just like,
Exactly.
oh, I'm never going to make it. That kind of thought process
Yeah.
comes up. And, you don't realize, well, look where I was like a month ago, even just in the spiritual journey, not even like at a tangible, like physical level of, whatever you're working on or building, but just at like an internal level, you can change so much, but kind of forget how far you've come. So
Mhm.
I think with shadow work, it is a process. And I think probably like the first step for me that's so important is to remember that it's not going to last forever. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to be in it forever, because that's
Yeah.
another thing that can get me down like a dark hole if I'm just like, I'm never gonna, you know, whatever it is, you know, whatever that thought is,
Yeah.
never gonna feel better, or like I've never felt that, you know, like I've never felt good about it. But that's really not true. That's just a thought. And
Mhm.
I kind of, you know, become aware of that thought, and then I say, okay, like let's look at this. It's not gonna last forever. And, you know, like you said, like watch Netflix, like, or just, you know, like give yourself time to process that and
Mhm.
know that it's not gonna last forever. It's just a challenge, or like an adversity, or something that the universe is showing to you so that you can clear it. You know, that's what I find is I clear, like sometimes I'll have something in my life that even from the past that I thought I would never, you know, get over. And all
Mhm.
of a sudden, you know, I didn't even realize I'd been working through it. And suddenly I'm just like, it's not, you know, it doesn't hold any weight anymore. Or
Mhm.
I realize like I don't want to be in that space anymore. So I'm going to choose to just let it go, you know? So it's
Yeah.
amazing what it can do, and how far you can come. So you just got to remember, yeah, got to remember like to give yourself credit for everything too. You know, so yeah, that's
No, that's really important. That's huge. I still struggle with that sometimes because
yeah,
that's a tricky one. It's like, wait, but I have so much more I want to do, and I have so
yeah.
many more places I want to go, and yeah, yeah. And I had a good thought of something to share, and now it left my mind.
Oh, it'll come back. It'll sub
It'll come back if it's
intentional
supposed
come
to.
back.
It'll come back if it's supposed to.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. Okay, I think I know what I was
Okay.
gonna say. Okay. So I think I want to talk about this because I feel like it has a big thing to do with shadow work, but I don't know if you can relate to this or maybe some people watching. But before I started really diving into my spiritual journey, I was kind of scared because, you know, a lot of manifestation people or spiritual people would say you create your own life, you create your own life. And I had a lot of hurt and I was going through a lot of physical pain. So I was like, I didn't want to admit that I attracted this pain. I was like, I felt like that was like self sabotage or that I really messed up in life. And then I was just, you know, I just felt like it was really hard for me to come to a place where I could almost take responsibility and say, like, okay. And I think people need to know, like, you didn't attract this like on purpose to hurt yourself. It wasn't like a purposeful thing. Yes, it did come into your life for a reason, and we are creators. And the example I like to give is, you know, when I was little, I really, and we kind of talked about this earlier in the other video, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think it ties into this. It was like, I didn't really like myself, you know, in a lot of ways. I was really insecure. And I always really wanted to have that confidence that I saw other people have. And so, you know, by attracting these painful symptoms and these hard times or this, you know, this confusing energy that I went through, it built me up into this confident woman. And now I love myself and I love who I am. And I know I had to go through those struggles to become who I wanted. So now on a different level, it makes sense that I attracted this pain for a beautiful purpose, for my growth, but not intentionally as a self-sabotaging, I'm stupid, like I, you know, don't know what I'm doing. You know, does that make sense? Like I think it's
Right.
important for people to look at that. Like it's taking responsibility for your life, but it's not to say that you did it wrong
Right.
or that you
Yeah.
should have done it differently.
Yeah. No, I really feel, you know, I really feel that wherever we are at right in this moment is really exactly where we do need to be, you know, for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of lessons, and we can't, I feel that we came here to experience life, you know, and we
Mhm.
as, I guess, like we as people kind of think like, well, this is the right thing and this is the wrong thing, or like this is a good thing,
Mhm.
this is a bad thing, and we kind of label everything, you
Yeah.
know, to try
Yeah.
to say like, oh well, if I'm not making all this money, like I'm doing it wrong, or I'm like manifesting wrong, or yeah, I'm doing like a bad job at it or something like that. And that's not
Yeah.
necessarily the case. There's probably, you know, something really important in what is happening right now. And I think that's part of the law of attraction too. It's all about bringing yourself back into the present moment over and over
Mhm.
again. But yeah, I've definitely been there where, you know, I think, what am I, you know, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why did I just manifest this? I've, you know, I've been doing X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z. And I mean, unfortunately, it's not like a perfect formula, you know, where you're just like, okay, it's not like you can just like put a recipe together and you're going to like manifest this. whatever that is. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like I I try to think that just like why am I here? Why is this happening? And also that maybe some things are outside of our control. 100%. We can't always be in control because there's a lot of underlying energy within us too that we're kind of working through. So it may not even be a conscious thing that you chose. Maybe at some level you did choose to experience it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's like acceptance, and it can be hard sometimes to accept that it didn't go, as planned. And then some of
Yeah.
them happen like miracles, and you're like, this is amazing. Like, I believe this. This is so cool. I believe I have this
Oh,
power, and you kind of like hold on to those and
yeah.
keep going. Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of leads into, the next topic, which is like beauty in the unknown.
Yeah.
Um, I
I
remember
really
when
like
I
this.
first, yeah, I
You
feel like we
like
always
sent
want
it
to
to
know
me.
what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say you sent this to me, and I was like, oh, I can't wait like to talk about this one because I would love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on it. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember it's just kind of naive, but like when I last year when I started my spiritual path, I started getting more answers. I was like, I felt like I knew more of what was going on and I was excited. And then I learned tarot and I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to read tarot and I'll have all the answers. Like I'll know everything. And it's just kind of me being excited and I learned, there is so much beauty in the unknown. And I realized that, if we were to know everything that was gonna happen, we wouldn't understand it. We wouldn't. We'd say, oh yeah, well of course I would. I would understand it. But there's a lot of ways that we change over the years. A lot of things shift and change, and we start to want different things, and we start to surround ourselves with different people, and we grow. And if we're to know what's going to happen in 5 years, it might not be what we want right now, or we might not understand why that happens, or like I just feel like there's a lot that we can't comprehend in our future, and that's why we're not supposed to know everything. And also, I mean, of course, the other side of it, right, is if we did know everything, life would be boring, right? It would be predictable. And where's the fun in that? There's no adventure in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. It's so true. Yeah, I think we get excited about the unknown and how and trusting in the universe, trusting in the process, I guess, is part of it. I think I say that a lot, like on my channel with the cards, and sometimes all the cards really do or need to do is just to say like, hey, you're in the right place, you're doing what you need
Yeah.
to do. They're not gonna, they don't always give you like exactly what you can expect, but just to
Right.
know, like, yeah. And I think
Mhm.
that's so cool too, is because the cards really a lot of times I find is like they reaffirm something you already knew, but like
Yeah.
through the cards, so it's like, well, I already have that intuitively in me, so I know the universe is talking to me because now I see them in the cards. So, uh,
Yeah. That's
so
amazing.
it's so cool when that happens. It's so powerful. But yeah, they kind of leave it up to the unknown too to let you learn to trust and have faith in the process too. So, but
Yeah.
there,
That's another muscle that you build is when you build that trust and that faith and that surrender, that brings a lot of calmness and a lot of ease into your life when you're just like, oh yeah, whatever happens, it's fun. And it's almost like being a kid again when you don't care about what's gonna happen a week from now. You're just like surprised by everything. Oh, it's dinner time. Like, oh, it's this,
yeah,
I mean, it's not exactly the same thing, but in
yeah,
a certain energetic way, I think it is, of being like, oh, I'm going to do this now. And not to say it's not good to have a plan, like, oh, I'm going to do these things today, or I'm going to do these things in a week, but leaving room for flow, for the unexpected. If things change, to not get upset about it, right? That it's for your highest good, right? And I think those mantras really helped me with this, and they continue to help me with this. It's like the universe is always bending in my favor,
yeah,
there's surprise in the unknown and
yeah,
different things like that, just reaffirming yourself.
yeah. That reminded me of the other one, this too shall pass, which I know to me that's a very comforting thing. I know it can also be sad when it's something positive, moving forward. But I think it's like it's such a powerful so powerful to remember those things and to remember that there's impermanence in everything. So it's so important to stay in the present moment and to enjoy each thing, and also accept maybe the things that we'd rather not experience, but yeah, accept and kind of stay with them until they pass as well. And know again, yeah, that the universe is conspiring, always conspiring to help you, to help teach you, to help you grow. And I've noticed, yeah, I think ultimately too, I've noticed a huge change, even just being aware of that power that you have with the law of attraction and manifestation, is that in itself starts to like kick up the dust, like stuff starts swirling, like energy starts moving around. And I just think of like even the past couple of years, me personally, my life did like a complete 180. And in 1 year, I had actually quit my job, moved to a new house, and got married.
Oh, wow.
Like, and it was awesome. It was great. It was like something that, because it's supposed to be, you would think that would be like extremely stressful to do all those things, but like, it was so great because I felt like I was finally just listening to my intuition, and I kind of cut out a lot of input from people I knew would be not have my best interests, at heart. I kind of feel like, okay, I'm gonna, work with people who I know are gonna have my best interests, because of course, like I still wanted to have like feedback, I'm always like listening for guidance. But yeah, I was just like trusting my intuition, and it was awesome. But it's amazing how manifestations, you just don't know when they're going to happen. It can happen overnight, it can happen. You never know. And that's another, unknown. It's just like, you can't, we think like, manifesting something big is going to take a really long time, but the universe is super powerful. It could do it. It can do it in overnight or in a moment. So yeah.
That's so true. And you know what else was coming to mind too while you were saying manifesting? When you manifest stuff and the dust comes up, like things start to get a little crazy. Like I noticed too. I realize how strong I can manifest things, but I don't try to manifest everything all at once, because I know when you manifest, things can get kind of uneasy before they get good. Like that's not to like scare people, but I think they're like, oh, I'm going to manifest love and a new job and all of this. And the universe is like, okay, well, you need to clear all of this stuff out.
Yeah.
You need to have more confidence if you want this. So I'm going to put you in some uncomfortable situations and something else. I'm going to make you take a risk, and you have to. And then it's like, whoa. So
oh my gosh.
I'm like, we can manifest things slowly, like, because otherwise you like overwhelm yourself, because it's not like it just comes in. You kind of have to work for it in a sense. You have to work for that energy. You have to do the shadow work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I totally needed to hear that right now. That was such a good message. I immediately pictured the tower card, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, I do that to myself all the time, where I am just like, I want to make this happen, and then I'm just like, I regret everything.
Yeah.
Everything does, like, it starts falling apart. My my energy is like all over the place. So I like your method. That is so true. Like, I need to make a
new for me. This is a new awareness I've integrated in like the past month. So
I needed to hear that for sure. Like, I need to set the intention of like, it's okay if it happens slowly, because of how. I mean, nobody likes the tower. I mean, like, I like the tower card.
It's a love-hate thing, right, with the tower card.
Yeah. Everybody's happy when that one doesn't appear, but yeah, it's a necessary process. So if you can like expect that, that's gonna happen, then you can kind of set the intention. I like that. Set the intention ahead of time to like keep it slow and not rush anything.
Yeah. So. Don't want to rush it. No. Okay, let's go. So the next topic, which this is the topic you brought up, and I'm very interested in it, but I want to see what kind of direction you want to go with it, was the physical symptoms. You said staying connected to the physical body. So are you talking about like physical symptoms you experience like through doing shadow work, or just how maybe they apply with our psychic abilities?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I first saw this topic too, I thought of kind of like the physical ailments or things that being a like physical empath you can kind of have to deal with along the way. And knowing that, your body's trying to tell you something, or knowing that, there's ways to kind of work with your body too. I also think in spirituality, there can be kind of like an escapism from the of wanting to escape from the body, because it is, uncomfortable at times as you're doing the shadow work. Anxieties come up, and then fatigue, comes up. And I know for me, like, I wanted to maybe escape to like the upper chakras a lot of time, when you're like, oh, like light and flowy, when your upper chakras are like too open. And I've always been needing to like work on my grounding in my body. And I do have, yeah, I have a lot of, I think I probably have like some physical ailments, because I do have a very sensitive, my body just is sensitive to energies. I have, I'm very tired. I get cold and tired very easily. I also wanted to mention too, because I have braces, I've mentioned on my channel before, kind of throughout my whole process with this, is that I personally, and maybe others can relate, but I personally have always had a very closed off throat chakra. And I mentioned a little earlier, like I always felt like I couldn't speak my truth, which I didn't really make the connection till later on in life. But I've had other healers kind of say like, oh, I'm really feeling your throat chakra, it's really tight. And that's kind of been a thing that I've worked on, is speaking. And now I'm doing this channel where sometimes I feel like I can't get the words out fast enough now. So maybe that's a good sign. Like I'm
That's a very good sign.
Yeah. But it did cause me a lot of pain in my jaw. And that's kind of why I'm going through like all this orthodontic work now. And I've had a lot of pain from it. It's like a TMJ disorder, and it's been kind of most of my life, even I've been kind of dealing with this. And I'm finally like in a good place with like treatment and stuff, because there's the spiritual level, or the, an energetic level of things. And then there's the practical things you need to do to kind of help your physical body out. So that's kind of, long story short, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking with this topic, is just that balance, and kind of knowing both sides of it, and also grounding yourself too. I don't know how you ground yourself too. I'd love to know some some tips about
it's funny that you talked about the throat, because I've gone through different meditations where I've realized certain ailments I had, because I had a lot of physical symptoms as a kid and through my teens, and I still deal with some now. But I had a lot of throat infections, and I tied that in with the same thing. I didn't speak my truth. I would hold back. I would just, because like my mom said when I first started talking till when I was about, I don't know, 2 or 3, I would just whine about everything. I would speak my mind. I would say everything. And then one day I just stopped. And I think I realized even at that young of an age that, I was like stressing my mother out, or I was just bringing more worry. And I was like, oh, if I just stop, nobody worries about me. And I just literally stopped. And then I started having all of these issues with my throat throughout the years, on and off. Like sometimes I get such bad infections I couldn't even speak, and doctors didn't know what it was. They're like, oh, it's bacterial, it's viral, blah blah. And and I tie that with other things too. I remember certain psychics telling me too, with like your solar plexus, I was very insecure and scared, and I have problems with my posture, right? And sometimes if we have problems with our posture or our back, and we're leaning over because we're kind of like hiding ourselves from the world, or we're an empath and we're feeling so much that we're literally trying to like shield ourselves, that we can develop problems in that area. And then same with having issues with stomach upset, or like I had a lot of problems as a kid with IBS. And that's like our sacral chakra. And you hold a lot of emotions in your sacral chakra. And so I've done a lot of clearing in that area. I rarely have those symptoms anymore now, but it's so tied in all together. And it's not to say that like, oh, it's just an emotion. There's not actually like an overgrowth of bacteria. It's the same. It's like that bad bacteria holds an energy, and that energy is something of a lower vibration. So when we have like bad bacteria in us, or we have a cancer, or we have, I don't know, any kind of like foreign something that comes into our body, a tumor, I'm just using these examples, or a virus, right? You do have a virus, but it also, that virus, like anything and everything, has a certain energetic component to it. Some things have a high vibration, like when you eat fruits and veggies, you put them in your body, if it's a high vibration, but you contact a germ, or something like that, it has a lower vibration. And if you can learn to get in touch with your body as to what kind of emotion that is, you can help heal it. So I think it ties in, like what you said, it's the balance of finding, things that a doctor recommends, or a nutritionist, or whoever you decide to work with to help, whatever ailment you have. But then also recognizing it from that emotional viewpoint and saying, okay, what is this pain teaching me? What is the emotion tied to that pain? Sometimes it'll be specific. It's like, oh, this is guilt. This is fear. This is shame, and learning that too, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Because it does get sometimes just bringing awareness to it can really help heal it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that where stuff just kind of like I can just feel the relief in my body when I just realize like this is what this is. And looking sometimes to starting when there's something like bothering me, starting with just the physical feeling of it
Mm-hmm.
helps me to work through it a lot of times too. I think,
Mm-hmm.
like, because I'll feel like in my stomach too. And I've had a lot of stomach problems and digestive problems too. And
Yeah.
like, um, but
Twinsies.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, like going into that and also identifying the energetic side of it, or yeah, like what is that frequency at helps just as much with the chronic side of things
Yeah.
too, ensuring that it's not going to just keep recurring because sometimes like the medicine can cure it for the moment, but if there's the energy is still there,
Yeah.
it's gonna like come back again. So yeah, I
Yeah.
see that
Exactly.
a lot of times when I'll work with doing healings for people, remote healings even, part of it is talking them through it, I think, and getting to the source of, because they may have like a physical ailment or a physical feeling. And I feel like talking through it on top of actually like sending energy and healing energy is really
Mhm.
helpful. Because I think if it's
Yeah.
still subconscious, even if I heal or send like a good healing energy, it's gonna come back, pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so true. And sometimes our pains need some more attention, because I also think with a lot of people in the spiritual community as well, if they're having a painful symptom or something up, they think, well, I can't focus on it, because if I focus on it, I'm going to attract more of it. And that's not always the case. That's not really where that rule applies.
Right.
Because I went through a phase in my journey where I was like, oh, I can't pay attention to it. I can't think about it. If I speak about it, it's going to amplify it. And while that can be true in certain areas, when you have some sort of pain, it's important to acknowledge it. It's important to bring attention to it. Learn, find the lesson, find the pain that's associated, and understand that it's part of the process. Because if we try to think, oh, I'm going to attract more bad into my life, then you're just suppressing it, and that just causes even more problems down the road.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. That is so important. Like that's something that can really trip you up about. I've definitely been there where I'm just like, no, like I'm gonna have fun. Like I'm not gonna,
Yeah,
not go
yeah.
there. But yeah, and that can become a habit too,
Mm-hmm.
that of kind of focusing on the positive, but your subconscious is trying to tell you something. And eventually, it's gonna get you to notice it. Whether that's like a physical ailment or an emotional one too. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's a really good point. Really important point. Um,
yeah.
and I was also thinking too, now there are some actual physical symptoms of kind of going through an awakening. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know some of them. I know and I've kind of experienced some of them, but you may end up feeling kind of achy all over too when there's kind of energy moving through your body.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very tired from energy as well, from like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going through
Yeah.
almost like I've only ever been able to explain it as like a download where
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a lot is kind of being in my energy is kind of being downloaded in my body at once. So I'll feel tired or achy or I'll get like back pain. And I know too there's like the third eye pain too when you're first starting out and you're kind of like awakening that
Mm-hmm.
up. So
I
no,
had that the other night. I
oh
was
cool.
like, something is cleansing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And you don't really know right away what it really like what it fully means. So sometimes you just kind of have to weed that stuff out. But it's either way, like the intuitive guidance throughout the whole thing, kind of inquiring within yourself. I don't know, asking yourself, like, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And practicing listening to your intuitive guidance to know, like, okay, this is this emotion, or no, wait, this is just something I need to rest. I need to rest this, and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, going through the spiritual journey, you start to gain more and more confidence in that intuition too. So.
Spiritual growing pains, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think of, and I don't know if it was you I was talking to this about. I think it was you, but I feel like we could talk about it right now because it kind of ties in with exactly what you were saying. Where, and this is always kind of hard for me to explain, so bear with me. Let me know if this makes sense. But when we pray, right, we pray for help. So if you're calling out to your guides or God or whoever, the universe, and you're praying and you're like, say you have like a physical symptom, right? And you're like, I'm in pain, I need help, please send help, right? So when you take that theory and you apply it to your own body, so we have all these cells in our body, right? And all these cells, some are diseased and some are good, and or all these parts of our body, it kind of like it makes us who we are. So when this part of your body is communicating to you and saying, I'm in pain, we'll say it's like the shoulder, I'm in pain, and they're talking to us, we're God, right? We are God. We're amazing. We're all connected. We're part of God, right? And so knowing that we have the power to communicate back and say, okay, shoulder, what's going on? Like, let me talk to you. Let's see what's up. And you can do this with your chakras, right? And, different parts of your body, that if you feel a lot of pressure in your chest, or if you have a headache, learning the language of your body, because it is a language and it's different for every person. I couldn't tell you like, oh, headaches, this means that you're frustrated, and this means it's from this childhood trauma that happened when you were 3. Like, no, it's different. Everyone has their own language. But when you practice, like with any type of language, you learn how to talk to different parts of your body, and then you start to learn the lessons, and you start to, do this. It ties in with shadow work. It ties in with like, oh, there's fear in my back, or there's shame or guilt, and okay, where did this stem from? When did this emotion start? And maybe a memory will pop up, or maybe you'll dream later that night and some memory will come up, or something that happened when you were little and you felt really shameful or really guilty, and then you can start to heal that. And I think people, and I'm not saying it's bad to pray to God or pray to your angels. It's not bad at all, but sometimes really realizing that you have that power within you, and that you are God because you're connected to God, and that sometimes you just need to communicate back to your own body and your own energy centers and your own pains.
Yeah.
Did I explain that well?
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like it's such an out there thing, and I always want to make sure I explain that one well, because I think that theory just has helped me a lot in my life. So I like to share that one.
Yeah, me too. And even, yeah, like I'll say, just sends love to it too. Like even if you're just not even sure what to do with it, just giving it the attention and putting that focus on it, and then being like, okay, I love you, like it's okay, like giving that loving energy to your own body is very healing, and then that opens the door for you to really understand it more, because you are this like complex, amazing, intricate like life form containing all the cells and everything. So there's a lot of consciousness within you, so connecting with it is only going to help you on the journey. And I think I wish I knew that. It's just that going into the pain, going into it and putting the focus on it and not trying to ignore it is like so powerful, and that leads you to clearing it and healing it and moving forward with it too. So a lot of people, it can be hard to even go inside the body too, and you can start even just by like practicing being aware of your hands, or when I go to sleep at night, what'll help me like fall asleep is just kind of like being aware of my feet, like putting my awareness into my feet, and then like
I do that sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, it instantly also is a good meditation to like put you in the present moment. So yeah, I think that really also kind of answers my question of like the best ways to like ground yourself.
Mm,
'Cause, I mean, you
yeah.
can't always go outside. You can't always like walk in the woods, which is like I love to do that too. And can't
Mhm.
always take like a nice salt bath, but those are all things that help. But probably
Yeah.
like even just as powerful is just like going into your body, like being very
Mhm.
present in it. So
Yeah, and I also tell people too. I think that's amazing because that does help. Or like imagining that you're connected to the earth. Or I tell people to work with crystals because crystals are literally from the ground, and those ground you. Like just holding them, wearing them around your neck, and then also eating grounding foods like potatoes or carrots. Something that I think any foods will help ground you that are high vibrational. So like any raw fruits or vegetables or steamed vegetables. But I think especially like potatoes and carrots and beets and like those will really help too.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
good. That's awesome.
And then I'd love I feel like this kind of ties in with the next topic too about um, raising your vibration and gratitude because all of these things we talked about when you're wanting to connect with your body, it helps to have a method to raise your vibration first. So I'm just going to share one that I've been using, and it's really simple, and it's one I learned actually at Rhythmia in Costa Rica. I went there to do it was a retreat where I did ayahuasca, and they say, okay, like take 3 deep breaths, right? 3 really big deep breaths, and then think of I do 5 things. I try to do 5 things that you're thankful for, but really get into the energy of being thankful for them. Like get into that state of gratitude where you're like, oh, so happy about this and this and this, and really feel in that. Spend like a good 2 or 3 minutes, in this energy, and then do these techniques we talked about. Like when if you're going it within, asking about your body, if you're doing shadow work, if you're trying to look for some answers or improve your psychic gifts, like gratitude is such a high vibration, I think. And then the breathing kind of helps you center yourself and bring you in the present moment, right? So you're not just kind of like in the future, in the past. And I just feel like if you're struggling, that little technique can help. It's pretty simple and to the point. And I don't know. Do you have anything that you recommend? I mean, there's so many different things you can do to raise your vibration.
There's so many options, and not everything works for everybody, but yeah, I like that one because I haven't tried that, and I'd like to work that into like a regular routine too because it's almost like you know raising your vibration is like a constant decision, a choice to make, and that's why we can kind of let ourselves like I know I can let myself like get lower, and you're like, oh, gotta raise it again, and get back into focus and alignment. So I think like certain things work for me. Hearing, I like to put on the binaural beats too.
Oh yeah.
it
Hmm.
that's almost like I don't have to think. Like sometimes I can't process it anymore, and I just need to like check out almost. And those kind of bring me back pretty quickly. And then maybe I'll like journal or take a bath or something like that. And also pets, like my cats, having them around, just like petting my cats, like I think they just resonate at such a high vibration they just have such an um amazing energy too to help me kind of get back. But yeah, that
Hmm.
helps me too. And nature, I love being in
Yeah,
nature too.
me too.
So yeah, it's so cleansing, and I can't
Hmm.
always like get out there for like a long hike, but yeah, anything, water, fire, sometimes like connecting with elements too really really help me. And um
Yeah, I have a candle going right now. I love lighting candles. I never used to love it that much. I didn't really see the point. I'm like, why don't you just spray some air freshener
yeah.
or like because candles could burn a house down, we don't want
Yes,
that. But I'm
totally, yeah, I
like,
get
I
that.
love the fire element. I'm like, "Ooh, I need it. I need it. Like, especially when I'm doing readings or if I'm making a video, I don't know. I feel like it
That's
helps with the energy.
Yeah, totally,
Hmm.
totally, yeah. Yeah, I have these wood incense now too that I've been like lighting, and I really like the smoke, and it just kind of like
Hmm.
I feel like it clears the air too, so I like using incense and stuff like that. But,
Oh, totally. Totally. Yay. Okay, I feel good about this video. Um trying to think if there's anything else I want to share. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
Um, I guess, I think like just to circle back,
Mhm.
it's an ongoing process. I think it's like important to know, there's no, you're not getting set back if you feel like you have to do, if you feel like you're in shadow work or you feel like you have to heal something or you feel in pain, it's not a setback on your journey.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing. And I think, even a lot of people who've been on this journey for a long time still
Mhm.
have stuff they're working through, and everybody's just doing their own unique things. So yeah, same,
Yeah.
same.
I
But
know somebody like I have some clients who are like, I just want to get to this point where I'm healed and I'm good and I'm healed. And I was like, you'll get to a better place, but you're never gonna get to that place. Like you're never gonna feel completely ready for this or that or this or that. Like, and that's not to like be negative. It's just to know that there's ups and downs. And I think people know that, but just I don't know. It's just
yeah, I heard
part of the
one.
beauty.
Yeah, it's like it's so worth the journey, even though it is ongoing. And I heard one, I forget who, but I remember hearing one person use a metaphor of like a very clouded window, and you
Mhm.
don't have to wipe the whole window clean to let like light through, to let light in. So that's kind of the spiritual process, like you're slowly clearing it away, and it's worth it because you get those like bursts of light coming through. So you're making progress, and yeah, but you don't have to be all the way there to just
Yeah.
add fulfillment, add value, to your
Yeah.
daily life.
Because
So
if I
that,
waited to make my YouTube channel or to do any of this when I was like completely healed, in my opinion of what I thought that was, I still
yeah,
wouldn't have started it. Yeah. I,
yeah,
I would still just not, yeah. And this has been so healing for me doing this and amazing. So,
yeah. And when you realize like when you let go of that even idea of like
mhm.
um it being this like future attainment, then you're like there, it's like
It's true. Oh, the irony. Oh
yeah.
boy. All right. Well, this was fun. Make sure you guys, I mean, we've been filming for a while now, like almost 2 hours, because we filmed the first part on Celeste's channel. So make sure you check it out and comment down below if there's like anything else you guys want to share or anything you can relate to that we talked about. But if you've made it this far, thanks for hanging out. And yeah. Thank you, Celeste, for joining me, coming on
And
my channel. And I think we're about I'm pretty wiped out now after all this. So I think we're gonna leave it be. And thank you everybody for connecting with us and sharing the love. And we appreciate you. And we'll see you next time, okay? Bye.